You know, every single time you pull up a financial chart, there's a secret war being fought right behind the screen. It's a war that's measured in microseconds and is waged by incredibly complex algorithms that execute millions of trades faster than you can even blink. Welcome to the algo economy. And then we tell you, understanding its rules isn't just an advantage anymore. It's about survival.
And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. This is a direct, stark warning from the Financial Conduct Authority, one of the biggest market regulators on the planet. They're basically screaming from the rooftops that the same technology that brings us mind-blowing efficiency can also unleash absolute catastrophe. The stakes? Well, they couldn't be higher.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at how these algorithms completely took over the markets. Then, we'll dive into the wild tech that gives them their speed. After that, we'll uncover the really dangerous stuff lurking in the code, see how the big institutions are fighting back, and finally, this is the most important part, we'll lay out exactly how you can build your own personal defensive playbook.
All right, first things first. Why did we hand the keys to the financial kingdom over to the machines? Well, it really boils down to two things: a massive explosion in electronic trading, plus an insane amount of data becoming available. It basically created the perfect storm, the perfect environment for algorithms to not just exist, but to completely dominate.
Now, it's really, really important to get this straight. Not all algorithms are created equal. Think of it this way. On one side, you've got the investment decision algos. These are the master strategists, the brains of the operation deciding what to buy or sell. And on the other side, you've got the order execution algos. These are the specialists, the ninjas, whose only job is to figure out the absolute fastest, most efficient way to get that trade done.
So who's actually using this stuff? You might be thinking it's just a few niche players, right? Wrong. It's pretty much everyone with serious money in the game. You've got your high-frequency traders. They're like the Formula One drivers of the market. You've got massive institutional investors managing your pension funds, hedge funds, asset managers. Heck, even some really sharp individual traders are all using automation to get a leg up. Okay, so we know who is using these algos, but the real question is how? How in the world do they get that incredible blistering speed? Well, the quest for speed has led to some amazing bits of financial engineering, all designed for one purpose: to bypass all the normal traffic on the market highway.
And the core of that technology is something called a fix API. The easiest way to think about it is like a universal translator for the entire financial world. It's a standard protocol that lets a trading platform, say like the very popular MetaTrader 5, speak directly to the source of all the money, the big banks, the liquidity providers, with absolutely no one in the middle to slow things down. So why is that direct line so darn important? Well, just look at the advantages. We're talking ultra-low latency, which means your orders get filled in milliseconds. You get direct market access, cutting out all the middlemen. You can build your own custom automated strategies without any limits from the platform. And you can fire off a massive number of trades without a single hiccup. This is the professional's toolkit, plain and simple.
And this visual just nails it. Using a normal retail trading platform is like taking the public roads during rush hour. You're going to hit traffic, you're going to have delays. A Fix API, that's your own private fiber optic superhighway straight to the market's front door. There is literally no faster way to get your order there.
But, and this is a huge but, we have to stop and ask a critical question. We've got all this power, all this speed. Sounds fantastic, right? But does faster always mean safer?
Yeah, you probably guessed the answer. It's a resounding no. Because with that incredible speed comes a whole new world of risk. Tiny errors can get magnified into disasters in a split second. And some players out there can use that speed for some pretty predatory tactics. So let's peel back the curtain.
Let's kick off with one you might have even experienced yourself: slippage. It's just the difference between the price you thought you were getting when you clicked the button and the price you actually got. Now, in fast markets, it's normal. Sometimes it even goes in your favor. But when you crank up the speed and volatility, the chances of getting a worse price go way, way up. Okay, now let's get into the really sneaky stuff. Most traders, especially when they're starting out, are taught to be predictable. They learn to put their stop loss, their main safety net, in really obvious places. You know, just below a recent low on the chart or right at a big fat round number like 1.2000. Seems logical, doesn't it? Well, here's the kicker. To a sophisticated high-frequency trading algorithm, those safe spots aren't protective levels at all. They're seen as targets. They're giant swimming pools of orders, what they call liquidity clusters, just sitting there waiting to be taken. The algorithm knows that if it can just nudge the price down into that zone, it will set off a chain reaction of stop orders, gobble up all that liquidity, and make a fortune off the chaos it just created. So, as you can imagine, this kind of predatory hunting and the huge risk of system meltdowns, well, it didn't go unnoticed. Regulators and big institutions have been forced to step in and create a whole new rulebook to try and tame the algo economy. And this is where the big guns come in. Organizations like the UK's Financial Conduct Authority are on the front lines. Their entire job is to keep markets fair and stable, and that means putting the companies that build these super-fast algos under an incredibly powerful microscope. And these aren't just gentle suggestions. Under rules like MiFID II in Europe, firms get strict marching orders. They absolutely must have circuit breakers and kill switches. They need rock-solid plans for when things go wrong. And critically, they're now legally required to run their own surveillance systems to police themselves for market manipulation. The Wild West days, they're pretty much over. So the big institutions have their rulebook. That's great for them. But what about you? How do you operate safely in this high-speed jungle? This is where we stop talking about theory and start building your practical, hands-on, defensive shield. A pro trader doesn't rely on hope or guesswork. They use a protocol. And here it is. Step 1 is your exit strategy. You don't just guess where to put your stop loss. You place it based on the market's actual volatility. Step 2 is pure, cold, hard math. You calculate your position size so that if you're wrong, you lose a small, pre-decided amount, like 1%. Finally, step 3 makes sure you're only using leverage as a precise tool to get that position size, and nothing more. The absolute key to that first step is a tool called the average true range, or ATR. The best way to think about it is that it measures the market's normal breathing room. If a market usually bounces around 50 pips in an hour, putting your stop 20 pips away is just asking for it to get hit by random noise. But by placing your stop at a multiple of the ATR, say 2 times the ATR, you put it outside that noise, in a place where only a real move against you will take you out. You essentially make yourself invisible to the hunters. And this is what it all leads to. The moment you stop relying on emotion, on hope, on those obvious spots on the chart, and instead, you rely on a disciplined, math-based protocol, you create a true framework for your trading. It's clean, it's strong, and honestly, it is your single greatest defense in a market that's now run by machines. So, I want to leave you with this one final question to really chew on. In this new age of algorithms, where machines are constantly scanning for predictable behavior and easy targets, you have to make a choice. Are you going to be the trader, the one who operates with a professional defensive protocol, or are you going to be the trade, the one providing the fuel for somebody else's algorithm? The choice is yours.